This week's episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob is not brought to you by bananas. Because, apes eat bananas. Welcome to I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, your friendly neighborhood film snob, and this is episode 96. We're just 4 weeks away from the big 100 episode spectacular. And before we get there, though, we've got a bit more work to do. But episode 100 is on the horizon. The script for that good old radio play is just about done, and recording for that will begin soon. But before we jump into that, as I said, we've got some business to attend to. Now, this week it is just me flying solo again. That wasn't the original plan. So last week, obviously, I had lots of opinions about the state of physical media. Bit of a depressing episode. Well, not depressing, but I would say maybe a bit of a downer. I wasn't, my usual bubbly self. I was getting a little bit frustrated with the state of physical media. But this week we're going to have a more positive show. Now, we were meant to have a guest, however, that was impacted by no one other than me. Unfortunately, this week I did find myself in hospital, not for very long, and I will tell that story a little bit later. I'm waiting on some test results. So once I get all my results and I know what's going on, I'll definitely let you all know what's happening there and why I was in hospital. But I'm feeling good. It wasn't even an overnight. I was only there for a couple of hours, and then I bounced back. I'm feeling very giddy because they loaded me up with Valium, so I was in a very silly mood. But because of that, that definitely ate up a night where I could have recorded with someone. I've had a couple of things going on as well. I've been helping out my dad with some stuff, and I went to the movies last night. At the time of recording, anyway. By the time this comes out, I will have not gone to the movies last night. I will have instead been recording this as time tends to work. So I thought what I would do is talk about the movie I watched last night. Before I jump into that, we're going to talk about some things I have been watching in the lead up to both that movie and just in general, and then we'll jump into the movie of the week, as it were. So on the TV side of things, I started Fallout a couple of weeks ago. I haven't finished it yet. I'm 3 episodes in. I think it's okay. I never played the games. What I've noticed is it's very dense. There's a lot of content in there. And when I started watching it, it was probably the wrong time for me to start watching that movie because it's just that show. There's just so much to take in, and my mind couldn't handle it. So, like, visually, I loved it. I thought the characters were great, but I've taken a little bit of a break from it. Maybe in a week or so, I'll go back to Fallout and finish that one. I liked what I've seen so far. It's just a lot. The other thing I've been watching on the side of television is X-Men 97. It took me a while to get to it. I know that it just finished. Its finale aired this week, but it started 10 weeks ago. I deliberately waited. I was always going to watch X-Men. But with the Marvel stuff, have been kind of waiting for it all to drop now. Like when they first started doing the series, I was watching it week to week. But now I'm happy to just kind of wait until it all comes out and then watch it in one go. So I'm 5 episodes into X-Men 97, 5 of 10 episodes in, and it's great. I really like it. If you've been watching it, you know exactly what I mean. If you haven't seen it, it's a wonderful continuation of the original 90s X-Men TV show. Now, I haven't seen the entire series off by heart, I'm sure, but I did watch that cartoon when I was a kid, so there's obviously a dose of nostalgia there as well. But it's just really great storytelling. I'm definitely, as I said, not well versed in the original animated series, so there are definitely some plot points that I wasn't sure if they were introduced in this season or if they were set up in the original series or not. I will go back and rewatch that because this show is so good. It makes me want to go back and check it out. But right now, I'm really liking it. Lots of twists and turns, lots of really good drama, which is what the X-Men is all about. If anyone's ever read X-Men comics, you'll know what it's like. It very much is a soap opera. Lots of characters coming and going, lots of death and betrayal and romances and things like that. But it's really scratching that itch for me. It's doing a really good job. The whole creative team involved has done an excellent job telling the story. And episode 5 was amazing. I saw someone online say it was one of the top 5 MCU moments ever. I don't know if it is for me. but it's pretty close. Like it's devastating. It's so the build up is so good. The love triangle angle they're playing is really good. The merciless violence and rampage is really good. And one thing I really enjoyed about this season so far is the way they're treating Magneto. Um, I think Magneto is probably one of, if not the most interesting character in the X-Men. I felt that in the movies for a long time. In fact, one of my favorite things about X-Men Apocalypse, which is a movie I know a lot of people struggled with, was Magneto's storyline. Like they had him retire. When we see Magneto in X-Men Apocalypse, he's not Magneto anymore. He's living in Europe. He's working at like a metal factory. He's got a family, and he's like, I'm done. After Days of Future Past, I'm not going to do mutant stuff anymore. And then, of course, events transpire which require him to go back and be a mutant again. But it was a really like fascinating character study, and they're doing the exact same thing in the animated series. I'll spoil it a little bit, not too much, but where the season picks up is Professor Xavier has been murdered. He was assassinated at the end of the original animated series, and so they're picking right up where they left off. And in his last will and testament, he left the X Mansion and the X Men team to Magneto, which was this huge twist because everyone was like, surely like Cyclops or Storm would inherit them, but no, like Magneto inherited them, and Magneto is doing his very best to be a good guy, which is amazing because you see this character who I've never like. I think the great complexity about Magneto is he's not like a cut and dry villain. Like when you look at his motivations, you're like, I get it. Like he was like he was he was there in World War II. He was in a concentration camp. His family was murdered um, by humans, not just because he was a mutant, but also because he was Jewish, which is such a fascinating wrinkle to a character. So you find him justified, and even though he goes over the top and he takes it too far, you're also like, look, should we do it? No. Do I get why he's doing it? Yes. So in the animated series right now, the point that I'm up to is he's the leader of the X-Men. He's not looking after the Brotherhood of Mutants, and he's trying to work with the United Nations, and he's trying to like play everything by the book. But there are flickers of moments where you can see he's like, oh, it'd be so much easier if I just like destroyed everything with my magnetic powers. Um, but I'm really enjoying X-Men 97. I've got 5 episodes to go. I can't wait to finish it. It's a top watch for me. I think it's fantastic. And I hope we see this kind of writing when they start introducing the X-Men. I know we've got Deadpool and Wolverine coming out in about 2 months, which is looking phenomenal. So I hope as we start to bring X-Men in, we're going to see the same kind of storytelling. Because if they keep doing this sort of storytelling, then we're going to see new life injected in the MCU movies. And I've liked all of them, but this is a good direction to go. So that's the TV watching I've been doing. In terms of movies, not much. I've been rewatching some stuff. I rewatched 8 Mile. I've been joking about it to people because when I saw 8 Mile as a teenager, I was like, wow, what a grounded, gritty, tough movie this is. I rewatched it, and look, it's still great. Like, there's no like avoiding it. It's a really well made film. It's really well written, but it's also really silly and cartoony. Like the whole film is predicated on like these rap battles and how like if you can't rap, then you won't fit in. And it's just like those are clearly the problems of someone in their 20s. As someone who's like 35 with a mortgage and a child, I'm like, oh boy, like you guys need to relax. But take the goofiness of it aside, it's wonderful. And then to the main event, the 3 movies I watched leading up to the movie I watched last night was the current modern Planet of the Apes trilogy. So they kind of called the Matt Reeves trilogy, even though he didn't do the first one. But I'm talking about Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War for the Planet of the Apes. Which, as I was watching them, I realized I'd only seen them each once, which surprised me because I love all of them. And as I was watching them, I'm like, why haven't I seen this once? These are brilliant. Like, why have I not gone back to these more? Like, these are excellent. So and I think I talked about it with Maddie when she was on talking about her favorite apocalypse films. She mentioned Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And I was like, yeah, I love that movie. I got to watch that again. It took me a while, but I got to it. What a stunning trilogy this is. And they're all so wonderful in their own way, and they're all consistent, and they're all pretty on par with each other. you know, which for one of the oldest franchises, or at least one of the oldest kind of like science fiction franchises, that kind of consistency is pretty rare. But the three that they put out between 2011 and 2017 all hold their own. Um, I was talking to someone about the other day, and the magic trick that Rise of the Planet of the Apes pulls off is that when I went in to watch it initially, I was sitting there, and of course, in that movie, like we don't really get like it's the birth of it all. Like we're starting to see some intelligent apes, but it's through this drug trial that they start to get that kind of hyper intelligence and learn to speak and stuff like that. But until Caesar says no, like over an hour into the movie, I was like, oh yeah, this is a talking monkey movie. I completely forgot about this because they play it so earnestly. Dawn is spectacular. Dawn is a magic, like again, like is the of the three magic tricks, it is the most magic of the magic tricks. Like it should be so dopey, it should be so silly, it shouldn't work, but instead, it's an utter masterpiece. It works so well. And then War is exactly what they tell you it is. It is a flat out war film. It is horrifying. It's upsetting. In the opening 5 minutes, you see a human soldier shoot an ape in the head execution style, and that sets the tone for the entire film. It's insane. Um, I'm not condoning that, by the way. I'm not like, wow, so awesome. I'm just saying, like, it lets you know, like, it is bleak. And there is a lot of I guess, like suggestive imagery to harken back to the imagery of World War II, like especially in the second half of the film. It's really powerful stuff. Again, for a talking monkey movie, they managed to pull three amazing magic tricks out of their hats. Um, so because of that, I thought I would talk about the newest ape film, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I went and saw last night. Um, I figured I would review that. Now I've only seen the one new movie this week, which is why I thought I'd do a bit of a recap on some other stuff I've seen. But Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes came out this weekend, and or the week before, sorry, and went and saw it with someone. I normally go and see movies by myself, but good old Maddie, friend of the show. Actually, I think we talked about the last time she was on. She was like, "Can you go see Apes with me?" And I was like, "Done and done." So I think it's the first time she and I've actually hung out together, just the two of us, in a non-podcast setting. Um, but yeah, we made the trek down to her local theater. I got a couple closer, but you know, I'm nice. So we went out to her local theater, um, and called Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and I didn't watch any trailers for this one. I didn't. I went in completely blind. As you guys know, listening to the show as often as you do, hopefully all the time, you'll know I really try to avoid trailers unless it is something like a Deadpool versus Wolverine, where I'm like, just show me everything. But for most movies, I'll try and go in as blind as possible. So all I really knew about this one is it's set 200 to 300 years after the initial trilogy, but it is a continuation of the franchise. So before I start talking about the film, I will give out a spoiler warning. I am going to talk about major plot points, although I will also say, because of my night in the hospital the night before, I was very tired, so I did get a little bit sleepy towards the end. So there's certain plot points I don't remember. But I should point out the film was not boring at all. The film was amazing. I probably shouldn't have gone to the movies so soon after going to the hospital. So that's on me. But that will obviously obscure some details, which is good because I don't want to give away all the spoilers. Um, so Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, my biggest concern going in was, well, actually, I had a couple of concerns. The first thing was that Matt Reeves isn't involved at all. He's not a producer. He didn't write it. He didn't direct it. Now, that's not to say you can't make a great Apes film without Matt Reeves, because every Apes film before Dawn was made by people other than Matt Reeves, and most of them are pretty good. But he really defined that trilogy, I would say, with Dawn and War. So I was a little bit concerned he wasn't involved. The other thing I was concerned about was the fact that they did such a big time jump. Now I've read some comments from the director since watching it, and his whole thing was like, "Look, Matt Reeves did an amazing job. How do you compete with that? How do you tell a continuation of that story without, potentially letting down the fans?" He's like, so my feeling was if I jump ahead a couple of generations, 200 to 300 years, then what I can do is I can continue that story, continue that legacy without impacting any of the characters and kind of harming those storylines that came before, which I thought was actually a pretty genius move. Like credit where credit's due. The direct, we see often directors will get involved in franchises and they want to make it their own, and by doing so, sometimes they maybe make it too much their own or play with the universe too much. Um, On the top of my head, the one I can think of probably most recently is Ryan Johnson with Star Wars Last Jedi. Now, I actually really like Last Jedi. I hated it the first time I saw it, but since rewatching it again, I've actually really come to enjoy it, and I think it's actually a really underrated chapter of that franchise, and he does some really interesting things there. But not everyone's like me. A lot of people will watch a movie once, and if they don't like it, they'll judge it as that, and they won't go back to it. Um, so credit to the director of Kingdom to be like, you know what? It's the same story, but it's so far in the future. All of the characters you know and love are gone, so we can't impact that story. So I liked that, but the problem I had with it was if I don't know any of the characters in here, then what's my connective tissue to this material, and why didn't we just reboot it? That's what I thought going in. And like that sounded a bit negative. I wasn't negative about it. I was just kind of puzzled by it. So the movie opens. And first of all, like all the Apes films in that previous trilogy, the visuals are stunning. They're incredible. But we open on three apes kind of moving around. I guess it's California, um, but we can't really tell because where there were once skyscrapers and large buildings is now greenery. So the green has reclaimed the world. So those buildings are still standing, but now they're completely covered in like leaves and grass and vines, and it's very much a jungle on top of a concrete jungle, which I really dug. I thought visually that was such a cool idea. Um, so we have three apes kind of like navigating this jungle. Our main ape is called Noah. He's kind of our protagonist. And he even looks a little bit like Caesar, which I quite liked. He's with his two friends, and they're completing this ritual. And for the first like half an hour of this movie, I'm sitting there and I'm like, we're only looking at chimpanzees. Is this a gorilla free movie? Is this a orangutan free movie? Is this just going to be a chimpanzee movie? And I thought that this kind of clan we were following, because there's quite a few of them, it was like hundreds of these chimpanzees. I thought this was our tribe. This was everyone. And it turns out since the events of the previous Apes films, um, all the apes have kind of developed their own cultures. So they've kind of spread out into their own camps, and they all do things differently. Um, and so these apes we're following, they're kind of like very natural. They live um, very much in like these kind of straw huts, and like they're a bird taming community. So like Noah's father is like the bird master, and he trains these falcons or these hawks or whatever to communicate, and like they go hunting and stuff like that. And they live near this tunnel. Like this tunnel's like just on the outskirts of their land, and the tunnel leads through to the greater Los Angeles area. But they're like, you can't go through there. The echoes live there, and the echoes are human beings. Which I love that name. I thought, what a cool name! What a like, great label for humans. Like because they echo us. Like they're like us, but they're not quite us. They're us with something missing. I was like, what a cool name. Um, so we follow them for quite a little bit, the first half an hour, and then basically what happens is a human girl named May, and she's our main human hero, um, is kind of looking for food, looking for warmth and stuff like that, and gets into their colony. And Noah spots her and he chases her, and in doing so, like he breaks this egg. So sorry, I'll say before they complete this ritual, they have to like get these eggs, but his egg breaks, and he's like, now I have to go out and get another egg. And while he goes out to go find another egg, he stumbles upon some people from his tribe, and they've been killed like on the road. And I remember like watching that. I was sitting next to Maddie, and I was like, "Wait, is that who could have killed them? Like, did the people kill them?" And then like all these apes come through on horseback, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Who are these apes? Are these our mates? Like we've been following for the last half an hour because they're wearing armor. I don't remember this armor." And that's when I realized that there are multiple ape colonies, and they're wearing this armor, and there's like this big like massive gorilla like leading the army. And this I said to Maddie afterwards, I was like, if he was still alive, like that totally would have been Michael Clark Duncan. Like you could tell he had that physique, he had that presence that Michael Clark Duncan used to bring to the screen. Um, but this colony like going around, and they hunt humans and they hunt other apes, and they recruit them for like their city. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, so Noah has to kind of navigate that, and then he's like once the apes clear off and the humans are gone, he goes to go back to his colony. He's forgotten about the egg. He's supposed to go home, and these ape warriors have come back to his community, and they're burning the towers down. Like, they're burning everything down. They're kidnapping all the apes. They're murdering apes. And I remember in that moment, I was thinking about Caesar's rules. If you've seen that original trilogy, like, Caesar had these rules and doctrines that they followed by to make sure that the apes didn't turn out like the humans at all. Um, and two of his big mantras. The first one was "Apes together strong," which was that apes should work together. And if they work together, then they're stronger together. And the second one was "Ape no kill ape." And you can tell that, like, these rules that he set out for this kind of ape utopia have been forgotten, because this clan, this kind of, and this is the kingdom basically. This is the army of the king, killing apes left and right. And it was pretty shocking. It was this kind of like pillaging and ransacking of this poor village who were completely like innocent and peaceful, um, and no real reason other than they wanted the apes to join their kingdom. And so a lot of stuff happens. Noah's father gets killed by the big gorilla guy, and Noah is presumed dead because he gets thrown off this building, and then like he blacks out, and everyone disappears. They're all taken away. The kingdom takes the villagers away, and Noah wakes up. He's all alone, and so begins his quest. And this was probably my favorite part of the movie. Like, the introduction, I did like. It was very Avatar. It was very kind of world building. Like, hey, look at the world. 200 years since Caesar. I forgot to point out the film actually opens with Caesar's funeral, so it does tie into the original trilogy. We see it picks up right where the third movie left off, where we see Maurice holding Caesar's hand and all the apes around him, and they're kind of mourning him. And there's like a little bit of a written epitaph before we get into the main story. I forgot that, so I did like that as well. That was a nice touch. And there was the imagery of the window that Caesar's house. So if you remember the original Rise of the Planet of the Apes, he lived in the house with James Franco, and the window in his room became this kind of symbol that they kept referring to throughout the trilogy. And that symbol comes back in this movie a lot, and I loved it. So Noah wakes up and he begins his quest, and he's trying to avenge his father, rescue his mother and his friends who've all been taken away. And to do so, he has to navigate like the treachery of the greater Los Angeles area, basically. And he's kind of mooching around alone until he comes across this orangutan called, I want to say his name was Rucker, who is probably my favorite character in the entire film. I liked Noah a lot. I liked a lot of the characters a lot, but Rucker is my favorite. He's this big orangutan, and he's kind of like this. Um, he's kind of like this member of the religion of Caesar. Like, so he constantly refers to the teachings of Caesar. He's got all these books. He wears a necklace which is the shape of the window from Caesar's room, and he's telling Noah and anyone who'll listen the stories of Caesar. And he's not getting them quite right, but like, he's kind of taken the word of Caesar and turned him into this kind of Jesus symbol. It's really interesting. There's a lot of religious imagery in this film, um, and the idea, and it's funny. Like, I was talking to Maddie about this afterwards, like how in just 200 to 300 years, what we think was a very clear message written down by Caesar gets misinterpreted because there's no one left from that world to explain it to people. And it's an interesting commentary on religion as well, because I imagine if you are someone who does read the Bible, or if you are part of religion, like, those texts were written so long ago, thousands of years ago now. How much of that are we interpreting or misinterpreting? So I thought it was a really interesting commentary on that as well. That was some of my favorite stuff in the movie. And again, was not expecting like a Jesus parable in an apes film, but I loved it. So Rucker joins him, and he's spitting knowledge left and right, telling us all these things. And they're adventuring together, and they keep seeing May, the human. She's like following them along. And Rucker's like, we should welcome her. Like, she's simple. These humans, they're simple, but they're friendly. Caesar liked them, so we should like them as well. And Noah's really unsure about it because he's never seen a human except for like in passing when they steal their crops and stuff like that. But they eventually befriend May, and then this trio are basically walking their way. So the first half of the film is basically that, and that's where I get a little bit hazy, because in the second half of the film is definitely when I started to get sleepy. But they eventually do make it to um, this kingdom, which is very much a parallel of the original Apes films. Like they walk across the beach, they see these giant tankers that are rusted and kind of like shipworn because there aren't any humans left. It was very much a replica of that scene where the Statue of Liberty is revealed in the original one. Um, we lose Rucker. Rucker is they're crossing this bridge because they keep getting hunted by the kingdom's warriors as well. They keep like hunting, trying to hunt them down, and they eventually like send Rucker downstream. Now it's not confirmed whether he is dead or not. Personally don't think he is. I think he just floated away. I think we'll get to see him in the next one because they're making like 9 of these apparently. Um, I would like Rucker to return. He was a great character, and really funny, like very very funny because he's very wise and gentle, but he just gets things a little bit wrong. And he felt very much like kind of this kind of cipher for Dr. Zayas from the original one as well. I liked him a lot. I think he was a great character. So I hope he's not dead. I hope he comes back in the next one because he was really enjoyable. So then it's Noah and May. They're going the rest of the way. And they finally make it to the kingdom. And they kind of, well, they get caught by the ape warriors and they get dragged to the kingdom, but they are welcomed with open arms. Like it turns out that there are some humans at this camp that the king, Proximus Caesar, which is very interesting, he kind of has a human pet in the form of William H. Macy. So May is kind of put with him, and then all the other apes work together. And basically, Proximus's whole mission is that where their kingdom is set, there's a tunnel, and it's a tunnel that the humans created years ago. And he doesn't know what's in there, but he thinks there might be a weapon. If he can just get it open, then he can rule all of like the ape world, which is what he want to do. What he wants to do. So he comes out, his entrance is amazing. It's very theatrical. He's kind of like really pumping himself up and showing off, and he's like letting everyone know that like he's their king and they all love him. Um, and very reminiscent of Koba from the original trilogy. Koba from the original trilogy is my favorite character from that trilogy. Um, I know that will shock some people because he was a villain, but well, actually, you know what? Oh, it's tough because I really like Bad Ape as well, and I really like Maurice. But um, Koba like was such a tragic character, and you 100% understand his motives, and you're getting like flavors of Koba in Proximus, but Proximus is very much a showman, and like he's very shallow. Um, and it's funny because just like how Rucker has been teaching the word of Caesar, Proximus Caesar also does that, but he's completely misinterpreted it. So he's like getting all the apes to try and pull this door down. It's like, come on, apes together strong, like pull this door down. And then when they don't pull the door down, he's like, maybe apes will be stronger tomorrow. Like he completely like he thinks it's all about physical strength and doesn't realize it's like, no, together we're strong. Emotionally, we're a family, like we work together. Um, so yeah, and then Noah is reunited with his family. The remnants of his family is reunited with his friends, and they start trying to think of a plan to get out of there and to take down Proximus because Proximus is a bad guy. Like you can tell pretty quickly, even though he's a showman, even though he's showing off, like he's very shallow, he's very selfish. He just wants to be in control, and he doesn't care if apes are hurt in the process. Um, and then the final act, I won't say too much, A, because I don't remember it too well because I was getting sleepy, and B, I don't want to spoil too much of the ending. But basically, it is this tussle to try and get this door open and get this technology. Um, and what we find out is that, spoilers, it's not a weapon, but instead it's like a computer chip that the humans are also looking for because it will activate their satellites. And the biggest twist of all in this film, the thing I was not expecting, is that well, actually I did skip this, but May can talk. It is revealed that she can talk because in war we saw that humans were kind of de-evolving. They were losing their speech, they were losing their ability to kind of communicate, they were becoming very primitive. But May can talk. She might as well have been a human from 300 years ago. She can function perfectly fine. um, so she gets that computer chip and she goes back to this other kind of tribe, and it turns out that there are hundreds of humans like living in bunkers, living underneath satellites, working to try and get communications going again. And it seems like what they're leaning towards is the reclamation of the earth, where they're like, we're going to take it back. We're going to the humans have been lying dormant long enough. We're getting this technology and we're going to take the world back. That's what it felt like to me. Um, but we'll see. There is also a very shocking moment where May comes to the tribe to say goodbye to Noah, because again, like after all the stuff with the kingdom, Noah and his friends return home. They rebuild their tribe. They rebuild their like little village and stuff like that. And May comes to visit them, and while she's talking to Noah, she has a gun hidden behind her back, cocked and ready to go. Um, which was such a shock to me, because this whole time I was like, oh, May's like this lovely like human and they're working together and they're friends, and it turns out that like no, she has had like sinister motives the entire time, and she was ready to kill Noah if she had to, um, which I thought was a ballsy move. So look, all in all, I do need to watch it again because I am missing some chunks, especially from that like last act. Um, I really enjoyed it. I thought it did some really look, that previous trilogy is so strong and so flawless. Like there's so few flaws with that show. It is hard to imagine how they could build upon that and improve. And I don't know whether they improve on it with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but they definitely continue the story in a way that respects the material, honors it, but still does its own new thing. I think Wes Ball did an excellent job. Um, introduced some great new characters. Noah was really good. As I said, Raka was my favorite. I thought he was excellent. Introduced some new threats with the king, Proximus Caesar, who doesn't last too long, as I mentioned. Like I don't know if I did mention it, but he does get killed. Um, but I didn't even care about the kingdom stuff so much. Like again, like not that it wasn't important, but the stuff that I really enjoyed was Noah's adventure with Rucker and May, and their kind of like their journey towards the kingdom. The third act, like stuff, I will revisit. And I'll probably find more into it when I'm less sleepy. But I love those three working together, that dynamic. Rucker, as I said, is a standout character for me. I loved all the religious parallels and like how they took the word of Caesar as this kind of gospel that's gotten passed down generation to generation, um, which is something fun and unique. And you can only do it if you do set it hundreds of years later. So while I was questioning why they would do that initially, I think it worked out really well. I think it was a smart decision because, again, by setting it so far in the future, you can't harm what came before. You can't alter the story too much. And if you do alter the story, it's not going to impact those previous three. So I think it's a worthy addition into the franchise. I think it's a great start to this new series, whether they do three of these or the apparent nine they're planning on doing. But whatever they're doing, I'm on board. The Apes franchise is still strong. Really fun movie. Had some really great laughs. There's some really funny moments in it as well, which I've forgotten right now, but I remember laughing a lot. But particularly between Noah and his friends, there's a girl ape and a boy ape that he's friends with, and the boy is kind of like the comic relief and often the butt of the joke. Um, but has some of that like darkness from the previous trilogy, particularly Dawn and especially War. You do see some of that darkness in this new flick as well, with the kind of sacking of his village, with the murder of his father, with like the king's tyranny and stuff like that. Like there's definitely like these apes are not the apes from the last trilogy. These apes have taken on all the bad traits of the humans before them. Um, and I thought that was fascinating as well to see that like everything Caesar had tried to build, and you feel like at the end of that trilogy, like yes, they're finally free, they finally found peace. Now they can live the world that Caesar wanted them to live in, and in less, in only a couple of hundred years later, they completely warped it and bastardized it. Um, but I'm not mad at that. Like I think some people are like, oh man, like what a waste. Like Caesar's hard work just went to naught. But like they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I feel like that, yes, like this was always bound to happen because of the events of Dawn. You know, in the beginning of Dawn, everything is looking like it's going well. And then when Koba leads his insurrection, which then of course leads to war, and they kind of split the factions, and then there are apes who don't want Caesar around. Those are the stepping stones of this movie. Like that's them already splitting themselves apart, kind of pushing themselves away from each other, and creating these factions who will ultimately destroy each other. Um, it's wonderful. It's a really great flick. I 100% recommend it. If you haven't gone to see Kingdom yet, and you have listened to this, apologies for all the spoilers, but I did warn you. but go check it out. If you haven't checked out the original trilogy, go and check those as well. Like they're really a great time at the movies. They are full on if you're an animal lover. Like they do get dark and upsetting. Um, but it's a really unsung franchise, you know. Like all the time we talk about Marvel this, DC that. We talk about kind of these other like tentpole franchises, you know, Fast and the Furious, Mission Impossible. But this Apes franchise is brilliant, and not enough people are talking about it. Um, so go check it out. Give it a watch. Don't take my word for it. Make your own decision. But I 100% endorse. I think it's a great flick. And that's about it for this week, guys. It's another short episode, as I mentioned. I will hopefully have my dad on the show again soon. I'm trying to get Liz and David on the show again soon as well. Episode 100, as I mentioned, is almost completely written. So once that's fully written, I'll be able to start recording and editing that. That's going to be a monster show. That's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be a long one. We'll see how the editing goes, but it's going to be a big one. There's a lot of guests, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to start hopefully recording some promos for that as well. Have a bit of fun with that. I'm gonna watch Mean Girls tomorrow, or by the time this comes out today, I suppose it'll be. But that new Mean Girls movie is out on DVD finally, and I want to check that out. So there's definitely some stuff coming down the pipeline. And then once episode 100 drops, it's gonna things are gonna change a little bit. There's some stuff coming up. I can't talk about it just yet, but I imagine by episode 101, if not 101, then 102 definitely. I'll let you know kind of what's going on because there are some changes coming. All for the not bad ones, just like there's some things happening that I have to let you guys know, but I can't let you know until a certain time. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of the show. Thank you all for listening to me ramble on about these apes. If it didn't make a whole lot of sense, I'm still very tired. I'm still recovering from my trip to the ER, as I mentioned. Um, and I was out at my dad's all day cleaning his house, helping him out with some stuff. So I actually just like literally put my daughter to bed right before recording, and I did fall asleep. So that's probably why I sound a little bit groggy. But thank you all for listening to the show. Thank you for supporting it. We're 96 episodes deep now, only 4 to go till the big 100. If you haven't submitted a question yet, I am doing a Q&A episode. Probably episode 99 will be a Q&A episode. So if you haven't submitted your question yet, and you've always wanted to ask me something, whether it's about the podcast, movies, myself, philosophy in general, send your questions my way. I will answer everything as long as it is a legitimate question. I won't be answering bot questions. Or things like, why don't you message me on Instagram? I won't answer those because those are dumb questions. But anything else, you can kind of tell what the real questions are, what the bot questions are. But I've got quite a few. I think I got like 20 the other night, so I'm very excited. So keep them coming in. I'll answer as many as I get. But until then, if you want to support the show, jump onto Instagram, follow me. I was a teenage film snob, underscores between every single word. You can like my posts, have a chat with me. You can slide into my DMs. I'm very chatty with everyone who reaches out. I really appreciate people who want to have a chat about movies, the podcast, or anything else. But that's going to do it. So as I say every week on the show, guys, I was a teenage film snob, but I'm trying to be better. We'll see you next week.